is that all those interviews we did were for that
other
magazine, but it never happened. So we ended up with tons of material, but nowhere to put it.
Welcome to Sparkling Harmonies. We're your hosts, Lily
and François.
And we are two friends who don't quite listen to the same type of music or genre,
but who are here to talk about everything and anything music related. Yay!
And today we have a guest. So we have Christine here with us today. François, you can introduce her.
Yep, she's a music and media enthusiast with a career in art that includes time as a photographer, a co-editor for Confront magazine, and that's what she's here today, and who now work for a web marketing specialist in an advertisement agency. Please welcome Christine Jutras, and sorry for my mispronunciation.
Is there anything else you'd like to add into that little intro we did of you?
No, I think we'll talk about myself enough
later on.
Yeah.
So to get you warmed up a little bit, we've got a few get to know your guest questions.
Yes, go ahead.
So what was your first album?
I remember having cassettes because I'm that old.
Welcome in the club.
Like stuff that belonged to my mother, probably like Rock Voisine and really old stuff. But the first one I bought, I bought myself a 5 disc CD player.
Oh, one of those, yeah.
Yeah, and I got it like with the money I got for my birthday and my confirmation that same year. And the day I got that, I went to the store to buy 2. I wanted 5. Yeah, I think I had already 3, or anyway, I wanted 2 CDs, and I bought. I don't remember which one it was, but the François Pérusse, which is a
classic,
a comedian, and I also bought the Black Album from Metallica.
Oh,
I was 11, I think.
You were off for a good start.
Yeah. I had an older cousin who was really into Metallica and metal music, like back then, the 80s band and 90s band. But I didn't like everything, but Metallica was like, to me, was the best thing ever. And that Black Album is I still listen to it on a regular basis. So yeah,
still a classic.
Yeah, it is a classic. Yeah.
And so what was your most memorable experience with music?
With the magazine, I think you know that with the magazine we had so many experiences, bad. But I'll go on a personal level. I think I would have to name 3 because I
go ahead.
I can see which one was my favorite, but Osheaga, one time there was Radiohead, and I really still like Radiohead, but they played Creep, which is a song that they never play live nowadays. Like they decide to play they decide the set list the day of, so you never know what they're gonna play, and they decided to play Creep that day, and like the vibe in the crowd, like people were like, oh my god, it's Creep, you know.
It's happening. We're so happy.
Finally.
Yeah, exactly. So like everybody was looking at each other and it was like, oh my god. So yeah, that was amazing. Another one I remember that like it went back to memories from when I was younger is when I went to see Phil Collins with my mother at the Bell Center, and he played In the Air Tonight on the drums. Well, he sang it and he played the drums, but that solo drum there, like I remember like the chills I got, like it was amazing. So that's really something. I'm a drummer girl. I've always been a drummer girl.
Really?
Oh,
And so seeing Phil Collins like that, I will remember all my life for sure. And I have to say the 4-song concert of the Foo Fighters at the Festival d'été de Québec. They did. They were supposed to have a full concert, but it was raining, but so hard. Like I've never seen that much water like in my life. It was a wall, like in front of the main stage, the wall, like probably that thick of water just going down.
Really?
It was crazy, and it was that year that he had a cast on because Dave Grohl had a cast on, so it was like really dangerous for him to be on stage because he couldn't actually move. He was sitting down, and it was super dangerous for them, but they wanted to stay, but they decided like after 4 songs that it was really too dangerous, so
Right.
to leave. But those 4 songs, it was raining, like we were covered. Like I had a like a plastic poncho, and my clothes were wet completely.
Oh, yeah.
I had like the brilliance of putting my phone in a Ziploc bag that contained a sandwich that was still in there, but I prefer my phone to be next to a sandwich than to be full of water.
Right.
And so my phone survived, but I remember the next day going to the mall in Quebec City, and there were so many people in line to get new phones.
Oh.
Because like there was water everywhere. I've never seen that much rain. But at the same time, those 4 songs, I think it was the best show I've ever seen. They were so pumped up. It was crazy.
Yeah, they are pretty. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
They are so generous. I can imagine they weren't really pleased to quit the stage.
Not at all. Like they wanted to stay. They tried to stay every song. Like they had to like talk to their manager or something behind the stage, and
to see if it was
they got back. Okay, one more, but after 4, like it was too
right. So, but at least like other bands, they might have felt obliged to play and not been happy to do it and not given their all. But with them, like I'm not surprised at all that they still gave it their all despite the rain and everything like that.
Yeah. And the rain was coming in literally on them. Like you can find pictures online. Like if you Google like Foo Fighters Festival d'été de Québec 2015, if you see the pictures, it's crazy. Yeah, fun times.
So now let's go into another side. And what a musical guilty pleasure of yours?
I've listened to past podcasts of yours, and I'm like Lily. I don't really have anything that I'm ashamed of listening to.
Oh, come on.
No, but
I can't be the only one.
I'm not ashamed, but when will I tell you the name? You will be ashamed for me.
Maybe not.
I'm a 90s girl. I was a teen in the 90s, so it was the Backstreet Boys for sure. I was 15 years old. Nick Carter was like my dream boy for sure.
Me too.
Really too.
And I listened to the music, but even then, like that's not the kind of music I was listening back then. Like I was into Metallica. Like the Backstreet Boys, I don't know how it happened in my life. Like I was going that way with music, and then something happened, and like completely the other way.
Back then, they were everywhere.
Yeah, you couldn't miss them.
You couldn't miss them, exactly. So it's kind of like me with BTS.
Probably, yeah.
Even me, I admit I'm a fan of the Backstreet Boys. Like
really, that's
cool.
cool.
Yeah, because First of all, okay, not back then, like you. I was 15, and that was more linked to my little sister and my little cousin because they were younger and obviously girl. But they seem like great guys. They are really great singers. They always giving good shows, and they are pretty generous. So you can't hate them, I guess.
No, you can't. You can't. No, you can't. But so the Backstreet Boys for sure, but I don't really listen to them anymore. Like I will go back and listen to all their old stuff, like to reminisce about the past. What I still do on a regular basis is sing Celine Dion super loud in my car. I think like I completely fool myself, and I'm like, I sing just like her. Like it's the same for sure. But yeah, Celine Dion is like for sure something that I still listen like regularly.
But it's funny. I think François, you should tell her about your Backstreet Boys song.
Sorry?
You should tell her about your Backstreet Boys song that's every year on your top listened.
Oh, really?
Incomplete.
But that's the best one.
She's with me.
Incomplete is also one of the songs that I listen to in my car and sing to. Like it's like an intense song. It's
yeah. And I don't know, it's getting to you. Like what especially with the clip when you see, I think it's AG going on his knee, throwing some sand in the wind, and I'm just all into it. I can't sing like that for my life, but I just do it like you in my car with friends.
Yeah, no, that's the best song for sure.
What is your artist of the moment?
I'm not good with that because I have two young kids, like two kids under 20 months. So one 5 month, one 20 month. So I don't listen to anything at the moment. Anything that I don't already know.
Right.
I don't already like. Because I still listen to the Foo Fighters. I still listen like to my regular rotation of music. But I would have to say Caillou is my moment. But seriously, no, those songs are like, they get into your hand. Oh my God. No, but I don't really have a song that I listen to, but or artist that I listen to, but more of a playlist on Spotify. It's the 70s and 80s acoustic playlist on Spotify. I listen to it at least once a day, just because it's there. It's mellow. It's good. Johnny Mitchell, Fleetwood Mac, Neil Diamond, Neil Young, sorry, Van Morrison. Like that's classic music, but it's so good. And yeah, no, it's really, really, really what I'm into at the moment. 70s music.
So which one of those songs is your song of the moment?
Well, in that playlist, there's a song by Crosby, Still and Nash that's called Our House. And I've always known the song. It's been part of the playlist, and I've been listening to the playlist for like 2 years now. So I've always known it, but it's been played in the TV show This Is Us on the last season.
Really?
And they talk about
I'm not
it.
there yet.
Okay, I don't want to spoil anything, but they talk about this song. So I went onto Wikipedia and like read about it, and it's a nice story. There's a nice story behind it, and the song is catchy. So like it's always like the first song I have in my head in the morning, if it's not Caillou.
And so, are you part of the people who are happy that Caillou is ending, or are you part of the people who are sad that Caillou is ending?
I'm actually, we just listened to the music. My son doesn't watch TV just yet. The least I can, the less he can watch TV is the best for me. But so I don't really mind about Caillou, but there will be something else. I'm trying to get him into Paw Patrol, but the old generation. He likes it. He's starting to get the songs now, and he knows Cannelle and Pruneau, and I have those little figurines
Oh,
from
you
back
still have
then.
them?
Well, I bought them.
Oh.
Because I had them when I was younger, but I bought them again. So he has those, and he plays with those in the back. So yeah, I'm trying to like push him
into that
towards,
direction.
towards Passepartout instead of Caillou or Paw Patrol.
Oh yeah, Paw Patrol is probably the next one you will have burned into your brains.
Yeah, but he doesn't even watch TV, and he knows Paw Patrol. So
Really,
someone is feeding him.
well, I mean, Paw Patrol is so popular. Like we give out these little surprises at the end of of kids' eye exams, and when I have little Paw Patrol sticker boxes, those disappear so fast, so fast. They are chosen above Play-Doh, above cars, and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I'm not surprised.
Yep. And what have you been listening to, Francois?
The new album by Gatecreeper. It's a metal band. I'm the metalhead of service here. It's called Unexpected Reality. That was a surprise album because they never talk about having a new album. They just say, hey, here's the new album at the beginning of the year. I think it's like 2 weeks ago. And it was like a fun project for them. It's based on the older release of Punk album when you had like 2 sides on the vinyl. So there's 8 songs. It's only 17 minutes. The first side, A side, it's called the fast side because there's 7 songs on it. I think the longest one is like 1 minute or 1 minute 10 or something like that.
Okay.
On the B side, it's called the slow side. It's a doom song of like 11 minutes. So that was just like, they just want to try stuff. And like they said, they don't have the time and energy right now because I think there's some members of the band that are not in the same cities or even same state. So they just did something fun. And seriously, it's really great. And after like 17 minutes, like it's done. So it's just a fun, fast ride.
Yeah, that's true. I listened to, I think, 10 seconds of one of their songs when you sent that to me. It's not my style of music.
They are really good in shows, so maybe one day.
And for me, I've been listening to Alexa, who is a K-pop artist who I know her because she's the co-host of How Did I Get Here, which is a podcast that I listen to. She's co-hosting that with Jay from Day 6. And I am not usually a big fan of her music because it's very like pop, very dance pop. But the song Never Let You Go is a little ballad. And so I enjoy it more. And her voice is really good. So she's a K-pop artist who is born in the US. She's half Korean. And she was recruited because she danced very well. And she's a solo artist over there now.
Oh, and I think dancing, like choreographies and stuff in the K-pop world is really popular. You send me like 10 videos of the same song with, I don't know how many different versions of the choreography with 10 or 100 person on the stage to dance.
Yeah.
So.
Their choreographies are very integral part of the music. So this is a slightly slower paced song. The music video is really just like her walking around. It's like very peaceful, and it's there are some parts of it in English and some parts in Korean, but you can really feel that it's an emotional song, and you can see it when she's singing it in the music video. So I really enjoyed it.
Cool. So now let's dive into the real subject here. We have you because we want to hear your input and your best and obviously the worst stories behind Confront magazine.
That's what Francois is mostly interested in.
Yeah, I love the little like the quirky stories because you I don't know, I don't remember how many people there were in the magazine, but with the 3 interview we did, we have so many people, different people during the interview. So there's many weird story and fun stories. So I quite enjoyed the fun one. So from what I heard, because I wasn't there, you were behind the whole concept of the magazine, and I'm really curious on how the whole thing starts.
It was so funny. Well, a really long story, so I hope you have time.
I'm ready.
First of all, I didn't remember what year it was, but it was in 2006. So it was like 15 years ago.
Wow.
That we started this in May, end of May 2006, that we did our first interview. The first edition of the magazine was 31st of August, I think, the same year though, 2006. It happened because like a friend of Angel's, that I started that with Angel Karmazenuk. She's one of my best friends. We've known each other for 25 years and more. And back then, she had a couple of friends that were starting an online magazine, but it was about everything and anything. But there was a music section, and we were like supposed to be in charge of the music section of that magazine. So that's how I started. And Angel, being Angel, she's a huge Jared Leto fan.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So, but she's a fan of his music for sure, but also a fan of his acting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she was into him like 25 years ago when he was doing like My So-Called Life, which was like some kind of soap opera for teenagers. He was young, and that it was like the heartthrob with the bad guy with the like soft sides. Anyway.
Mm-hmm.
She made me watch it, so I know. Yeah, so she was really into Jared Leto, and at that time, like, he was coming out with A Beautiful Lie, which 30 Seconds to Mars, his band, was coming out with A Beautiful Lie, their second album.
Mm-hmm.
I was in love with their first album. Before that, the second album, not so much, like, it went downhill from there. But their first album, to me, like, it's a masterpiece, and Angel was really into it too. So she said, I'm gonna get an interview with him, like, at least, not if not him, the band, like, members of the band. That's what I want to have in the music section of that magazine that we were supposed to be working on.
So big goals right off the start.
Yeah, like, you don't start small in life, you reach high. So we started like trying to get like who was like their manager in Canada, was because our friends they were based in Toronto. So and we learned that they were doing press in Toronto for the Beautiful Lie album. So we said, okay, we'll go there. So anyway, we called and they said yes. Like, it was just like that. Like,
really,
you online magazine, can we do an interview with you? And they said yes. So at that time there were 3 members of the band, or 4 members, and we got 2 of them for the first interview in Toronto, like the bassist and the guitarist. So
not Jared.
None of the Leto brothers, because his brother is the drummer.
That's true.
Oh, I get now why you like the band too. You're the drummer girl.
Yeah. No, it started before that. It started with Lars Ulrich in Metallica, but after that it moved to Shannon Leto. Yeah, no, I'm not a Jared fan. I'm really a Shannon fan. No, I'm a Jared fan. I cannot say that I'm not a fan. It's not true, but he's a great artist. But he's somewhat of a special guy, but I'll talk more about this later. So yeah, we got an interview with two of them. So it started that way, and then after that first interview, Angel kept on pushing. She wanted Jared. So we ended up going to another show, like I think it was somewhere north of New York. Co-host, I think it was. Anyway, I don't remember. We saw like 4 or 5 shows in 2 weeks.
And that's nice.
Yeah, but I didn't talk about my part. I studied arts, photography. So I said I will take pictures because back then I didn't speak English, like not very well. So I couldn't write in English, and I was way too shy to do interviews. So I said I will photograph them. So we asked for passes, and we got passes to all the shows that we requested. Like
really
5 shows that we saw in 2 weeks, we got passes, and 3 of those shows we had interviews. Two of those shows we had interviews. One first with the guitarist and the bassist, and we had one with Shannon later on. I think it was in co-host, and that was one of my most memorable interview. Like, that guy is mind-blowing. Not only is he handsome, but he's also so interesting. Like,
no, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, if you got 3 interviews in the span of 2 weeks, what did you ask? Because usually you ask about their new stuff and everything, but at some point,
every time it was with a different band member.
Oh, true. Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's true.
So first guitarist and bassist, and then Shannon, the drummer, and then she finally got her Jared interview the day of her 29th birthday.
Oh.
By phone. It was a phone interview.
Okay.
So he called her on her birthday. Like, what a nice
wow.
So and it really, because I heard you in another episode of the podcast that someone called you first and then you get patched on, like but he called her directly.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So like,
what a nice gift.
You pick up the phone and you're like, hi, and is Angel there? It's Jared Leto. Like, what the hell? So she was really happy about that. So that's how it started. But she decided, with all that stuff that we had, I had tons of pictures, because after all of their shows, they would go out and meet the fans and talk with them like for hours. So we would just hang in there. So we started talking to the fans too. We started getting pictures of them, because their fan base is called the Echelon, and there's something like I know many bands have like big fan base, but the Echelon is really one of the I would say tightest fan base I've seen. So like we started talking to them. So we spent a lot of time around them, with them, not necessarily like talking to them but around them. And we also requested like full access to all of this. So they gave us everything. Like, they gave us everything we asked them.
Wow.
But why? I have no idea.
Because I feel like later on, like when I joined in 2009, and even further down the line when Melissa and Jenya took over, I feel like even small bands would ask for a press kit. Like, they would say, okay, what's your reach? How many readers do you have?
But I think the 2006 here is really important, because it was really the beginning of the web magazines, like any kind of web magazines. Like, it started probably like 10 years before that, but like it was starting to be really, really like
more
common,
popular. Yeah.
popular. So, and in Quebec, we were, I think, the first one in English, or the second one in English, but there was not many, and the rep from the labels, they knew where music, like online magazines, were going. So, and they know how important they were getting. So they always had reserved some kind of time or for web magazines. So often we would request an interview, and we were the only one requesting an interview from a web magazine, from a magazine based on the web. So like La Presse, Musique Plus would get their things, but us, we would get it too, because like we're the only one. So
yeah, so that's cool.
But
that's really cool.
Yeah, but it got harder and harder, because like I would say 2008, 2 years later, or even 2007, there were like 15 web magazine about music in Montreal. So I think we got lucky. But
I feel like also, since you started a little bit earlier, you still managed to make a name for yourselves within the industry before there was all those newer ones too.
Exactly. We got to have like a lot of we met a lot of reps, like just going to shows, and like I would take pictures, so I had to meet them before every show. So we just got to meet them, and then after that you request the pass, and since they know you, like, it's easy, it gets super easy. But the first few times, like they didn't know us at all. But the thing is that all those interviews we did were for that other magazine, but it never happened. So we ended up with tons of material, but nowhere to put it. So from, I think it's like I said, it was the 31st of August that it went live. I think from mid-June to August, I was at Angel's every night to work on it, because we needed to get to work on what was going to be Confront magazine. Like, we had no idea, and we had to cut parts of the interviews because we were talking about the other magazine that never happened.
Oh, right.
We had to write to the label saying, well, it didn't happen, so we're launching ours, so it's still going to be there. So the first issue, because it was important to us, not important, but it was back then, like I mentioned, it was new, having an online magazine. So we wanted to have a mix between a regular magazine and an online magazine. So we always had a cover.
I remember, because I did a few of those at the beginning.
Yeah, exactly. So we always had a front page, and then you could go in, click on the different links, and go on the different interviews. But we would have a big interview, and then smaller ones, like a portrait of a band, and then smaller ones. And we would also have one like article related to music, but not really about a band. So that first issue, we had that big 30 Seconds to Mars portrait cover. We had an article about the Echelon, the fan base. But we also got on that first issue an interview with Simple Plan. So like,
wow, we're off to a really, really good start.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we were really two nobodies, like, that really had a goal, and we decided to do it and to go for it, and like, it just happened. So, but I think we were lucky, but also, like I mentioned, like, really like it was the time to do it.
Yeah.
Like, a couple months later wouldn't have worked.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy, but that's what they say. Timing is really everything.
Yeah. No, it is. And we ended up like people from different labels were calling us asking, can you do that band? Can you do this other band? And sometimes it was really, really small bands that would just started and that they wanted to get discovered. But sometimes like by doing that, they were thinking about us when bigger bands were coming and we would request access. So like, I think it was like
an exchange.
Yeah, it was really an exchange. Like we would help us and they would sometimes just give us what we wanted to.
Yeah. So, but with that first issue, that's how you get your contact list and all the people around the business industry to go to you, or at least you have someone to call.
For the second issue, it was easier because you say, well, we got 30 Seconds to Mars and we got Simple Plan. So now I'm asking you about your small band. Can you take? So it was easier, but we started high. We started like big because after that we got like a little down right after that because like we couldn't get higher than Simple Plan or 30 Seconds to Mars like right away. Like it wasn't doable. So but it was nice. We got access, like you mentioned it in past episodes, Lily, but all those festivals, the Vans, the Oceaga and everything, that was to us like a big win because we were really like, oh yeah, we made it.
Yeah. But also, like when you mentioned them, the labels asking us to cover, that just reminds me, because this is something that I've mentioned in past episodes, is like, since I was so free at school, I had a very flexible schedule. I didn't mind skipping class.
I hope your parents aren't listening.
My mom listens to this, but I still made it, Mom. I'm still an optometrist. But so what happens was, even, I would always say yes to everything because I knew that, every year they would give me Simple Plan. So like, I need to give something back, especially to Warner.
Yeah, exactly. No, we love Warner.
Oh, Warner was so sweet. They were so sweet.
Yeah. No, they gave us a lot, but we gave them a lot too. So like you said, it was an exchange.
Yeah.
But the way it worked back then is basically because since I didn't really speak English, and we decided to do the magazine in English because we wanted to reach many people all over the world, because it was based online. So why they just wanted
like keep yourself close to
exactly. And we wanted Jared Leto, and so what we did is basically, Angel, she studied literature, and I studied like more the visual media aspect. So I was in charge of all the whole visual aspect of the magazine, the front cover, and all the passes for the photographers, making sure that if we had an interview, we had pictures to go with it, and requesting the pictures to the different labels. That was my side of the whole thing. Angel was more like taking care of the interview. She was editor-in-chief because she was reviewing every article. But it was so much work because we were working full time.
Yeah, that's what I was going to mention too. This wasn't your job.
No, it wasn't our job. And as you mentioned before, we weren't paid for this. So like we worked 40 hours at a regular job and probably 40 hours on the magazine per week. It was so time consuming, but it was so much fun. Like I wouldn't go back and change a thing.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Oh,
I miss
and
it so much.
yeah, well, see, that's also part of why I wanted to start a music podcast, was because I missed interviewing bands. And so far we're not there yet, but I'm hoping that maybe one day we can grow a little bit and I can feel, comfortable maybe asking.
But just ask. You just
Yeah.
ask. It's that easy.
Let's throw a name like that, like Domain, maybe.
The main, they're probably one of the easiest ones to get. I still get sent. I'm still on their press
Release
list. Yeah. I still get press releases from 8123 Media, which is the main's label. And I'm still also on the list for, I think, Warner's music releases, because they send me the link. There's that website where you can get early access to the albums for reviewing and stuff. I get emails from that every once in a while still. So I still have a foot in there. So maybe one day. And that's also why I convinced François to do this with me in English.
Yeah.
She makes me work so hard on that.
I understand. But I also wanted a French part in Confront, because Confront came, the term Confront was chosen because we wanted to confront people with their taste of music, with the different genres of music. So like we wanted to make sure to cover like the smallest band that was starting and the big band, but also the metal band, and also we didn't do much pop because they didn't need like that much
exposure.
But we did a few country artists. We did a few like Christian artists. Like we wanted really to have a mix up of everything, and the Confront term came like we really, it was Dare, Defy, Provoke, which was our tagline.
Yes, it was.
Dare to listen, defy the stereotypes, provoke change. And that was our motto. So yeah, so we had a lot of fun.
Yeah. And so other than that, those 30 Seconds to Mars interviews and
other things,
what are some of your other best memories from your time with the Confront?
I have thousands.
I 100% understand.
Yeah. It was not even music related. It was the time that I was in my car with Angel just before an interview, and we were so stressed out. And we were listening to, at that time, I think it was David Bowie's Space Oddity and Matchbook Romance. I think they don't exist anymore. The song was called Monsters, and we would listen to that so loud in the car and just scream really, really loud to get the nervousness,
the stress out.
Yeah, the stress out. So, but those moments is the one that I remember the most. Like, the fun we had. Yeah, with the artists, sure, it was fun, but it was also fun to do this with my friends.
That's cool.
We started in 2006, like it was Angel and me, and then we included like three or four friends of ours that were doing reviews and interviews and graphic design. But it was like a really small family, and then at some point it was too much, so that's when you came in, and later on I think it was Anne-Marie and Marc-Claire, and Virginia and Melissa came before you.
I think probably around the same time, maybe a little bit before. Yeah.
But we were looking, like in 2009 it was getting way too much for us, so like we were looking around for new people, and Melissa and Genia came around, and so it was less of a family to me. It was more of a job. So at some point, I think it was like 2011 or 12, that I stopped completely. It was too much for me.
Right.
There was some tension, I would say, because we were not making deadlines, and like it was becoming too much of a job. Like, and I didn't mind not getting paid, but then it was hard for me also to say, like, can you give me those photos for like 3 p.m. that day? But then life happens and you're not paid to do this. So who am I to ask that of you? And that kind of stuff. So it was kind of a lot. So I was tired of like always asking, always like
kind of have to run after people.
Yeah. So I stopped completely, but it was before 2012 because I went on a trip for a few months in 2012 and I sold my camera just before I left. So I stopped taking pictures then. After that, I did a few interviews. I borrowed cameras from my friends and I did pictures again, but just here and there to help out Jenny and Melissa, or just because I really wanted to.
But well, because I feel like even when you and Angel kind of stepped down, because Angel also stepped down.
But she stepped down after me.
Yeah. But when you guys were still kind of on our VIP list, like we knew that no matter what, 30 Seconds to Mars would be off limits, Backstreet Boys would be off limits, because you two would come running back for that, like, and everybody was aware.
Yeah, exactly. That was like the bonus that we had for creating the magazine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I still remember that. But it's funny that you mentioned 2012, because that's when I kind of had to step down. Like I didn't completely stop, but I would do maybe one or maybe between 1 and 5 things every year, because that's when I went into optometry school.
Yeah.
And when I got into optometry, that it was over. Like I couldn't do anything anymore. I had to study so much. So
good for you. You got a job for life and you're set.
Yeah. True. And at least I have all those other years before that to always think back on.
Yeah, no, exactly. But the question was my best memory. And I have to say, one related to an artist. It was I covered an Alexis on Fire concert at Metropolis, and in the afternoon I was just sitting there on the first little step there in the venue, and we had an interview with the guys just before that. So I was going through my pictures there, just waiting. And I don't know why I was alone, because I'm always with someone usually the person who does the interview.
Who's doing interviews.
But I was alone. And for some reason, Dallas Green came out and like played a 30-minute set of City in Color. And I was the only one there. Like,
wow, your own personal show.
It was my own personal show. I was like so in awe, like just looking at him. And I couldn't take pictures. I wasn't there for that. I didn't ask before. I couldn't film. I couldn't do anything. So I was just enjoying.
And is it when he starts City and Color?
Yeah, probably, because it was around that time, 2006, 2007, that he started. No, it started before that, 2004, I think. But his first, sometimes the first big album, the first one he got success with, it came out in 2006. And I think it was either that year or the year after. So it was brand new. And like, it was just like playing guitar, singing. Like sometimes it was color songs, sometimes it was something I have never heard before. It was amazing.
Wow, that's a great memory, because I never saw him live, but I saw a couple of videos of him, and it's like I won't say a prayer, but he get you into his mood. So
yeah, he's in his
I imagine
own
being
bubble.
alone with him.
He's in his own bubble and he's doing his thing, but you get stuck in, like he's so charismatic, but also at the same time so shy. I've met him.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've met him a few times, and then if he can run away from us, like the media, he would. But
Really?
yeah.
But that's funny because everyone want to see him. I know he's not the lead singer, but he is one of the face of Alexis on Fire.
We got Alexis on Fire a few times, I think, interviews, but every time it was Wade. Wade McNeil, I think he's the bassist. I don't remember. But every time we got him, I don't think we got Dallas, but I also went to Rockfest, like in the beginning of the Rockfest that they were playing there. And we spent time backstage, and we spent time like really next to him, like not with him, but next to Dallas Green. But he was so shy, even like with his friends.
Really?
Like, he's really like a loner, I think. Yeah.
Which is funny because you wouldn't expect somebody who chose to go into this world where they're so in the public eye, who would be so, like, I guess, introverted and so, shy.
But in this case, I don't think he went into the public eye. I think he went into music.
I see, yeah.
He's really, really like an obsessed musician.
It just it had to come with also being in the public eye.
Yeah.
Sadly for some.
Yeah. I think if he could remove all that from his job, I think he would do it.
Yeah, especially since he chose to go like on his own with City and Colors for a couple of years. So I imagine it can be hard for someone that is that shy because that was him and him alone.
Yeah, exactly.
Because now he can't just say, I'm not doing the press. You could all go to the others because he's the only one.
Yeah, he's the city and he's the caller.
And what were some of your worst moments now?
That's a funny story. In 2015, I went to the Festival d'été Québec where I saw the Foo Fighters there. And I requested a pass through Melissa and Genia because I ended up covering the festival. I discovered Royal Blood, which they were opening for Foo Fighters back then. Royal Blood, it was their first album that was coming out, like either it just came out or was gonna come out in a few weeks. And I really liked them. So I said, I'm going to request an interview. I don't do interviews. I'm not comfortable with them. I'm okay. I know I'm okay, but it's just that it's not for me. I'm a behind the scene kind of girl. So
you're the Dallas Green of Confront magazine.
So that day, I ended up getting an interview with Royal Blood. So I was in the hotel, and they sat in front of me, and I'm super nervous, but it goes smoothly. Like I asked my questions and everything, but at some point, I don't know why, they start saying, like, rambling about that. They were giving me like fake answers. Like, what? Yeah, like for example, they were telling me about Ed Sheeran's mom, how she was like a really good songwriter and that they wanted to write songs with her. And I'm like, I have no idea how to react to that. I'm like, I know they're playing me, but what can I say? So I froze. Like, I didn't know. I just continued my interview like nothing happened.
Right.
I completely removed that part from the script that I wrote after that. Like, I said, okay, they wanted to make fun of me that day, or I don't know, they wanted to have some fun, and they just decided to tell me anyway. So it was not a good interview for me, but it was just like a small part. So it was still a good interview, but I don't know why they did that. Like maybe, oh, she's a shy girl, so we're gonna play with her or something. But I don't want to give them bad intentions too. Maybe they wanted me to get into it and just laugh with them.
Yeah.
But didn't happen.
But
was there.
Maybe to help you to accept the fact, I saw an interview with Sam Dunn. He's the guy, he did like a Headbanger Journey. He's really big in the documentary and music, like metal, rock.
Okay.
And he did that for like 20 years now. And I saw an interview with him and with, I don't know, I think it's Abbat. It's black metal singers. And he did exactly that. He was making fun of him, but that was live.
Okay.
And he did exactly like you. He just continued, even if the guy was talking, being like a bird or whatever. And he was trying to get him back into the interview. And I think when the thing go down, you can't bring them up with you. So don't worry, it's happened to everyone.
No, I know. But on the spot, I was like, what the hell? What's happening?
Oh, man.
You see, it's my worst memory, and it's not that bad.
It's not that bad, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't have really, really bad experiences, which is a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because, well, while you were mentioning that, I don't know why, but I thought about one of my bad ones that I didn't mention in my own episode, which was my recorder died during one of my interviews once. I still remember it was with Lights. So she was the sweetest person. So I think we just kind of restarted the interview.
Oh, God.
With like my phone instead.
Okay.
Yeah. But
something bad happened to me too, with a 30 Seconds to Mars too. I recorded a whole video of the interview that Angel did. No sound.
Oh no.
But I noticed like when I was home.
Yeah.
So like I couldn't use it at all. Good thing like I remembered what they were saying and I helped because she didn't record it because I was supposed to record it. So yeah, that was bad.
Man.
That was the time to do a voiceover. With your own voice.
Yeah, that would be great. No.
Oh man. So now we've talked about best. No, what were you gonna say?
I was ready to go into the craziest moment.
Go ahead. Yep. What was your craziest moments?
I think it was the same day that the recording didn't work. It was the same day. I remember vividly. I think I saw 30 Seconds to Mars in concert. Maybe I think I stopped counting after 30 times. I saw them really often. It happened. Back then they were touring not far from Montreal. Anyway, just saying that we saw them. I kind of learned how to get these guys, like how to react and how to be around them, because it's Jared Leto. Like people are starstruck. It's something that I'm not. For some reason, I'm rarely starstruck. Okay. But and with him, I couldn't be because Angel was kind of doing it for me, like she was starstruck for the both of us. So I kind of couldn't be. So I was really talkative with Jared. I was the photographer behind the scene that didn't speak to anybody, and I was just doing her thing. Except for Jared. I don't know why. I think it was because I kind of needed to prove to myself that he was just a regular guy. So I had to go to him. I had to talk to him. I had like to just like, I was like, he was my friend in my head because I wanted to like just be normal around him. But that made me, for some reason, cocky. So sometimes I was like, no, are you kidding me? Or like I was giving him an attitude and I was like, oh, I shouldn't be doing that. But at that time, when the recording didn't work, something happened that I know a lot of women around the world will be very, 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 very jealous of me.
You remove his shirt.
He did. You remember Metropolis, that little room there with the sofa?
Yeah.
Like there was a sofa, so they were sitting, all three of the guys were sitting there. And I was filming in the corner, and Angel was there
in front of them.
And at some point, somebody came in and gave him a coffee, and he like did that, and the cover, the
came off.
Came off.
Oh.
So everything on him, and he looked at me, and he removed this shirt, but I was filming.
He was
looking at the camera.
I was filming, so I kind of moved the camera away. So
Why?
Because it wasn't respectful. To me, it wasn't respectful. Like, if I have that footage and I show it, like, it's not the kind of people I want
on the website.
No, but imagine the gift to Angel now. You give her a CD with like a footage of 45 seconds.
So she was living it.
Yeah, but sometimes it's fun
to. I talked to her this morning and she didn't remember, and I'm like, how can you not remember that? And so he removed his shirt, and I moved the camera away, but just a bit, just so he's not in the shot. And he came over, and then he looked at my camera like, are you filming? Like, but he didn't say, are you filming? But he just looked at the camera, and I said, come on, you know me. I'm not filming you being naked in front of me or something like that. And he said, come. I don't remember what he said, but he was like, whoa, that attitude.
So funny.
Yeah, I don't know why. I was like that with him. Like, I wasn't like that with anybody. But I think it was the English that came out of me that was cocky. Like, I didn't know how to speak English very well, so it was just cocky and sarcastic. Like, coming from learning from Friends episodes. So yeah, but the him being like almost naked, like that, the pants he had on was like almost falling down. It was like super loose pants. I'm like, oh my God, there were some people that would pay a lot of money to be here right now. And so I ended up saying, like, put the shirt back on so we can continue or something like that. He laughed. He was a good guy. Like, he's still a good guy probably, but he's a special guy. He's really, really, I would say he's aware of everything that's going on around him at all moments. So we got access to we could follow him like in a tour that they did in Toronto. They were going into like it was almost like a Best Buy or something record store. I was allowed to film there. He gave me his permission because for some reason Jared is the one giving permission for this. Yeah. He gave me his permission, but he was always looking at me like, are you filming? You okay? Your shot is good? Like, he was fully aware of me being there and filming it, which was super stressing. But also at the same time reassuring because he knows what he's doing. Just for example, at one time, I never asked for pictures with him. I'm like you, I never asked for pictures. But one time he said, like, do you want one? I'm like, okay, yeah, I do. And,
remove your shirt, please.
No, it's not the same one. And we were outside. It was like October. I don't think he would have done it. But So he ended up taking my camera, but my professional camera, and doing like a selfie. But it was like 2006 or 7. So back then we couldn't turn the camera around and just do a real selfie. So like just put his hands up there, and I said, "Oh my God, don't drop my camera." Stress, and he was like, "Don't worry about it. Like, I'm a filmmaker. Like, I know what I'm doing." But we had a lot of fun. Like, following these guys around, we really had a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. All of your experience with them.
I hope we get some comments about people are jealous of you right now.
They're a little naked.
And so throughout all those years, all those experiences, what did you learn about yourself? Because I know I learned a lot about myself just by working a few years.
Yeah. First thing, I learned that anything can happen. And if you really want it, you can just go for it. I applied that in many, many different aspects of my life. It didn't always work out, but at least I tried, and that way I have no regrets, at all. So that I learned from Confront for sure. But also, like what I do for a living now, I'm a web marketing specialist. I'm a strategist, so I work, I do strategy based on web marketing. And it was in 2006. It was brand new. Twitter, Facebook, doing publicity, advertising on that. It was all new, and I had to learn that just by myself, like just so we could do some kind of publicity for the magazine. So everything was done online, like getting our followers, our readers, like we got them like one by one by going to forums and fan websites and saying, "Oh, we're gonna meet that band, your favorite band. Do you have questions for them? And don't remember, come back and read the interview." So I ended up really liking that aspect of the whole thing. So I just continued that way. I started my own business, and I worked on, I was doing Facebook ads and Google ads and all that stuff for different clients. And then after that, I got into an agency and I worked from there. So like it made me who I am.
That's cool.
Yeah. And so you mentioned that now you don't really listen to any other music than what you already know, and Caillou and kids music. So did you discover any music while you were working for Confront? Because we were sent bands that we didn't know.
Yeah, a lot. Well, City and Color, for starters, I didn't know about him. I knew about Alexis on Fire. I knew about Dallas Green, but I didn't know he was starting his own thing. Before I met with the band Sayasin, the singer back then was Cove Reber, I think, and he was in love with Dallas Green. We were doing an interview with him, and he was in. Yeah, he was we were in their tour bus, and he was talking to me, or to Angel probably, but sometimes I get confused. And he was talking to Angel about a song that was on the Sometimes album about touring and about being away from your family, and he could relate so much to that. And I was like, oh, that seems interesting. And I went home and I listened to it, and I'm like, okay, that's God. Thank you. So that's how I learned about Dallas Green solo. I will probably have learned about it like a few months or a few weeks later, because it was getting bigger and bigger, but it's the first time I heard about it. And that I remember super, like it was yesterday. Also, like those bands, like when we went to festivals, we saw so many bands. Some of them I really like clicked. I saw Katy Perry Advance Warped Tour, like,
oh my gosh,
before I Kissed a Girl Who Came Out.
Wow.
Or like that summer that I Kissed a Girl
that came out. Yeah.
So she was really amazing live, and even back then.
Mm-hmm.
So I took pictures of her. Also, I could name like thousands, but some things that I still listen to. It's really City and Color.
Mm-hmm.
I seem to have been talking about them a lot, him a lot.
City and Color and 30 Seconds to Mars. It's like me with the main Day6 and BTS. It's fine.
And Simple
it's
Plan.
fine. Simple Plan. That's true. I talked a lot about Simple Plan.
Yeah, but I think I saw Simple Plan like 10 times just for the magazines. And that's before you came in. So
because then I took over.
Then you took over. Yeah, and in a podcast you said that you didn't get Pierre for the interview.
Yeah, I never got Pierre.
And you always get Sebastian.
I always got Sebastian.
I interviewed Sebastian myself once at Music Plus, and we also got that first year for that first issue. We got Sebastian for the interview also, but we were in the tour bus with Pierre, and he's like sitting there, and we can talk to him. Like we can. He was actually answering questions, but he's not like the one
that's getting interviewed.
Yeah, that's getting interviewed. He was like straightening his hair up.
Those days, eh? Those days.
Yeah.
But honestly, like I don't think I would have had it any other way. Sebastian was so sweet.
He was he's still the sweetest. Like
Yeah.
I follow him on Instagram. He's like such an overall great guy. But
And like
they're not all are, but
Not all. Come on. There's at least one.
Yeah.
but also like
most of them are.
he always remembered Confront.
Yeah, no, he did.
Yeah.
But
like he would ask about somebody else.
Every year we would get at least one interview.
Yeah. Because I've been to 3-4 of their benefit events for Confront. So yeah.
I went to one, maybe with you. I don't remember.
I know I covered you mentioned covering a lot of things with Angel. For me, my teammate ended up being Marie-Claire.
Yeah.
Because she was also very, very free.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever I got an interview, or back then she was going to CEGEP at Vieux Montréal.
Mm-hmm.
So anytime I had an interview in the middle of the day at like Metropolis or Club Soda, I would ask her if she could come, and she would come between classes or something and then go back to school.
I know, she would go get her camera at home and then go. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah,
you were our lifesavers a few times, you and Fly for sure. And
I remember sometimes I would accept interviews the day before.
Yeah, no, for sure. Even the morning of, I think it happened a few times.
I think so too. I was like, okay, sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it says, this is something that I mentioned in another episode, was that towards the end, when I had done so many interviews, like I had so many kind of general but still interesting questions in my mind that I didn't need that much time to research.
No, you just had to know the band and knew where they came from, and like just knowing that it's not their first album, but their fifth. But I know it was the same for me. I did a lot of research to help out Angel or others for the interviews, and that's a part I really liked. Also, I like doing, like, I like learning about bands.
Mm-hmm.
But but I didn't have to do that for photography.
Yeah. So I think that about wraps up our questions. Do you have anything else to add, Francois, to ask her?
No, I think we did pretty much the whole thing. That was really nice, especially for me because I didn't know about Confront before meeting Lily. I knew when I met her, I knew she was into a magazine back in the days, but I never had the chance to read it. So that's really interesting to see how it goes and how it starts, because like you said, in 2006, like I remember everyone had like a little blog or the MySpace phase and stuff like that. But starting from nothing. And I did ask a couple of questions to other girl. Maybe I can ask this one too to you, but I'm always curious because you were mostly girls, and you never feel like they were looking at you differently or acting with you differently, or because let's face it, music world is mostly a boy club,
especially rock music.
Yeah.
No. Oh, I never felt anything remotely like that. But then again, I was really shy and I didn't go to parties. I didn't follow them. I didn't go with bands afterwards, or because sometimes we were invited. It would happen that I would go, but just say hi and get out. So I think it's more in those kinds of situations that it could be awkward. But no, it never happened. And the journalists in general were a lot like women. So
Okay.
the photographers, no, it was mostly men. But the journalists, there was a lot of women. Yeah.
And is there anything else you'd like to add? Any last minute stories to add before we end this?
Well, I'll go with something to give hope to everybody, because just doing the magazine, it was something that I never thought it would be possible, and it just happened. And I was a little girl, a 15-year-old girl, living, breathing, and eating the Backstreet Boys. And I ended up I think it was in 1999. I was front row at the Bell Center for one of their concert, and I was this on the
barricade,
the barricade. I was like, how can I get closer? I'm not close enough. So, and a few years later, I was over the other side of the barrier, the barricade. I was taking pictures of them at the same Bell Center. I was with my friend who was doing the same thing as me and had the same dream as me, which made it even more awesome. But it was it was easy. It was easy. I just dreamt of it, and then it happened a few years later. So you want to have bands on your podcast, ask for it. If they say no, they say no.
Yeah.
That's the worst that could happen. If they say yes, well, you have a nice podcast or a new episode.
True. Yeah, that is good advice.
Thank you.
I mean, for me, it was the same thing. I never dreamt that I would be interviewing Simple Plan yearly for a while. And yet there I was with my, hey, Sebastian, how have you been doing? What's new since last year? Yeah. So thanks again for coming on to this podcast with us.
It was really nice talking to you guys.
It was really cool hearing how it started. I wish that we could have had you and Angel at the same time, but I'm glad that you kind of got her version of things a little bit in there too.
Yeah, I talked to her this morning and she approved everything.
So this was Sparkling Harmonies. We're your hosts, Lily
and François.
And today we had our guest, Christine, to tell us all about the beginnings of Confront and other little moments. So we hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to look for us on Instagram, Spotify, Apple, Google, Facebook, YouTube, and we'll be back next time. Bye.
Bye.